Brother Joe, cheers for joining us.
No, I appreciate you having me, brother.
Welcome to the potty. So stoked to get you on. You were one of the guests that has been on my radar for ages, and I sent you through just a DM, and I was like, fuck, we'll even open it. He's probably too big now, but appreciate the reply, man, and here we are.
Of course, bro. I love how direct, assertive you are, and like I was telling you before, I was still blown away that you're from Wellies, because bro, like, do you find this with Wellies, like, you know, there's more of an emphasis to be a bit like chiller,
100%.
You know, but I hate to say this, but too cool.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think it probably comes down again to like that whole sort of tall poppy stuff, and even like starting the podcast, I was so fucking shit scared to put something out there and express myself in front of people to like judge me. And I remember I like brought all of the equipment. I was probably sitting on all of the gears for like 8 months.
Ages, yeah.
Just had the idea, but I was like, I'm just too fucking timid to execute it. But have you found that with your mahi, bro? Like getting out there?
For sure. My one of my best mates, Patoni Groom, he runs a agency in town. He went to St. Bass Town. He lives in Auckland now.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this literal subject the other day, and we were saying that Wellies is like probably the hardest place, honestly, in NZ to start anything, because it's big enough that there is like things, you know, it's a scalable and like sizable enough city that there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of opportunity, but it's so small, everyone knows each other, and because of that, it's so scary to start anything. Everybody knows what each other's up to. It's so easy to hear people's opinions on shit, so it's like, it's such a hard city to mentally like break through and actually really try to do something like kind of against the grain, against the mold.
Yeah, 100%.
So bro, that's why when I found out that you did that, this was in Wellies, I was like, holy fuck, like, as a Wellies boy through and through.
Yeah, bro.
I personally know how hard it is to do anything, let alone something like this.
Yeah, man. No,
so respect, bro.
Appreciate that, bro. And I think it's something I've always tried to be real proud with the podcast. Is like, you know, this is a Porirua based podcast,
bro. Like, that was the craziest thing.
Yeah, and like to have like TJ Piranara on the pod, and he's also from Porirua. It's like you get to share that connection, because, bro, you're from Wainui, and like I think Wainui and Porirua share the same kind of like stigma.
Definitely,
it's like that scene off The Lion King where Mufasa and Simba are sitting on that rock, and they're like, all of this kingdom is ours, but that place in the darkness, you never go there. Like, I feel like there's sort of that mentality in some suburbs around Wellington. It's
Definitely.
like Wainui and Porirua are kind of frowned upon.
Sure.
But like for you within your work, bro, I can just see like how proud you are to be from a place like Wainui, which is me. And like for yourself to be where you are now in your career, and to like imagine other young people in Wainuiomata, for them to know that someone has made it in their town, to be a comedian, you know what I mean? And to like be an entrepreneur and running different TV shows. You don't know what you don't know. And that's just fucking so huge. So, man, we'll place that right back to you. Respect for all of that stuff, man.
Oh, sure, no, it means a lot, but I think it's bro, like one of the biggest things that I've kind of found is there's so many, like, being up in Auckland is real cool, because, you know, basically everybody around NZ, you know, if they're really ambitious, everyone kind of gets some sort of itch to go to Auckland. Whether you do or you don't, like, that's no kind of reflection on, like, you know, how successful you are or whatever, but like, everyone tries to crack it in Auckland at some point. And one of the craziest things that I've found is that so many people that have done real well up there have come from Wellington, through this like same pathway that I guess like you know, you've just mentioned with myself, and even with yourself. Like, these communities are so strong, and like there's so much, I guess, depth to like how we live. Like your upbringing, because where'd you go to school?
Aotea College.
Aotea, yeah. So that would have been diverse as.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then like Scott's, not so much, but Wainui is like obviously real diverse. The Hut is like, I've always considered it probably like one of the most diverse places in the country, and so the amount of depth that we sort of grow up around, like, that's why so many of us, we grow in Wellies, and then when we get out there, that's like, we just kind of take to the wind, because we've just grown up with so much experience.
100%. And yeah, I really look at that, and like from growing up in Porirua and having the experience to like go to school with individuals who, you know, their family's in the mob, you know, their dad was like the head honcho sort of guy, different drug dealers, different ethnicities and cultures. like that's a real skill that not many people. I definitely see it as a skill, like being
Right,
able
it
to
is.
experience just the melting pot of New Zealand, and then because then like within our work and stuff, you understand people
Yeah.
to a different degree. You're not around the same people, the
Right.
same culture, the same background. It's
Hard out.
like it just I've definitely found that as like a big plus.
Hard out.
Yeah.
Well, because Aotea, was there heaps of kids from like, sorry, this is becoming such like a welly specific. Because Aotea would have had heaps of kids from like around like Peter and probably Cannons Creek area, but then probably heaps from like Whitby and shit as
Yeah,
well.
bro.
Like,
Yeah, a lot. And I think when I started going there, they had just done some like zoning, so they were like cutting out some of the eastern Porirua suburbs,
no
which
way.
is pretty like controversial.
yeah.
So it turned into, I think it is now like a lot more of like a Whitby based sort of affluent
Is it really?
school. Yeah, bro.
That's
It's way different. When we were
crazy.
in there, it was like leaky classrooms and toilets, and the place was a bit of a shitter with all due respect. But
That's
now it's like a
crazy.
brand new school.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, man. That's so
Um,
interesting.
Bro, I was really keen throughout this episode and with this podcast, like people see the end product on social media, on Instagram. They see you, traveling around the US, catch up with Theo Vonn, doing like a gig with him, which I'm so keen to hear how that went.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't see through the glaze of social media and Instagram is like the journey and how you got there. And I think your story in particular is so interesting, and there's so many learnings to others.
Stop, bro.
So I'm really keen just to unpack with you, like what were some of those key moments in your journey and how you got to where you are today. So yeah, bro, what was I guess starting you went to Scots, obviously.
Yeah. So I was on Scots. I was at Scots on a just a smaller like academic scholarship, and I think at the time there was like quite a big, I don't know, like push from the school to sort of expand like the kind of students that they had, and
True.
I think widely within Wellies, like I think they just thought that was like by bringing in like heaps of brown rugby players, but they did really like bring in a lot of boys from sort of like all over the city that were from I guess like smaller, rougher areas, and I was kind of one of those dudes, and my parents always wanted me to go to that school, and they both grew up like with not a whole lot, so a school like that you immediately see like how that could be of benefit to your kid. But
100%.
Scots was like a massive eye-opener for me in the sense of, bro, like I've got, I'm meeting like mates that have real rich parents, and like when it's crack up because you're meeting like mates with real rich parents, and I remember like one of my mates, his dad was like, they had arguably the nicest house I'd ever seen.
True.
And his dad like owned car yards, and I remember for me thinking like, damn, that's not something that you'd think. Like, I mean, obviously, now it would make sense that you become real rich of those, but that was one of those things where I was like, damn, you can really become rich like off of anything.
Yeah.
And I just saw so many of these dudes whose parents had a large like wide range of like interests and things that they did. Half of their parents, like you'd ask them what they do, and didn't even fucking make sense. Like they were always at home doing nothing, but they were rich as hell. And so you just kind of got all these sort of experiences, and I guess where I'm getting at with that is what it set me up on early, which I was so lucky for, was that your career and your life doesn't have to be as linear as I guess you think it is when you grow up in a place kind of like Waitanui. Like when you're brought up in Waitanui, you get a job, you stay in that job for 20 years,
bro.
Settle down, get a family. And that's not to say that that's like a bad pathway necessarily, but like if that's all you kind of know, that's all you'll accept. But Scott's really opened my eyes to like there's such a wide range of like things out there. And the fact that I've got mates whose parents like, are doing all these random things, I was like, okay, well, I don't necessarily know what the hell I'm thinking of doing, but I know it doesn't have to be something like quote unquote normal. So that was where it sort of started for me, bro.
True. That's such good insight, eh? And it's so funny as like students and young people, the areas of like work and employment that you get told about are so cookie cutter,
bro.
It's like doctor, builder, accountant. There's like
straight up, there's like 3 of them.
I know. And then you become older, you're like, fuck, you can be like a nutritionist or like whatever it is.
It's so funny because I remember like picking my subjects for like NCA level 1, thinking like, oh, these subjects mean these are the job.
Bro,
this
same.
is the job I'm gonna have.
Yeah,
when I'm an adult.
100%.
And I remember they even stupidly like that. I mean, our careers counsellor was lovely, but like she even had this, I don't know, like a brochure, I guess, and it had each of the subjects that you could pick at school, and then like the job that it went into. And it didn't have like, and my 15-year-old dumbass brain doesn't read that and think, oh, okay, this is just the start of what the jobs could possibly be.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the only jobs I can do from these subjects.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading through them. I'm like, okay, that stink. But you have to pick something. So I'm just like, oh shit, okay. I guess I'm just settling that journey where people start just accepting things because they feel like they have to. I started that at 15 thinking like, oh, okay, so this is where we just kind of start to think about becoming adults at 15.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm 28 now and I'm still a fucking idiot. But but yeah, bro, like that was kind of my first inkling of that. But then that was also like the first time that I ever realized within myself that like internally, I know I'm never gonna be settled with that. Don't know what that means, but
so what were like the next steps after finishing at Scott's? I'm sure like a lot of your mates will be going to like university and X, Y, and Z. And you went that traditional route. Yeah. And it didn't really gel for you?
Nah, help, bro. I was like, so I was a really good student at Scott's. But that's because I was at boarding school. Like, structure's really good.
True. You're like living there, were you?
Yeah. Living in there, like they've got organized prep time. And I'm very much like a person that if I have like a structure and I feel free within that, like I can thrive. But if you make me like organize myself, bro, I'm hopeless. So basically it was like, all good at school, did well. And then as soon as I get to uni, like what's the thing that hits you at uni? Holy fuck, we don't even have to go to class.
Yeah.
Like, no one checks up on us.
True.
Bro, so my first year, I think, I'm not even shitting you, I think I went to 4 lectures.
This is mean.
I think I went to 4 lectures the whole year, bro. And I was up in Auckland on my own. I didn't have my first drink till I was like 18, and I didn't get drunk for the first time until like R&V that year.
Wow.
So
I hit you pretty hard.
It got me good, brother.
Yeah.
I think I'm still hungover. But I was like, I was a young man that had I was really disciplined and really like strict with myself in school. But then I just kind of finally opened myself up to all this other side of the world. Yeah. And bro, I just like really struggled with it, to be honest, because it was just almost like too much freedom for me. And like I said, like I struggle without like a little bit of structure. Yeah. So I just kind of lost the plot in my first year. Yeah. Came back to Wellies, got a job at a student job search and worked there for 1.5 years, bro. And then it was kind of in that period that so this is such a long-winded like way of getting to where I'm getting, but basically worked full-time. And I had this like unreal convo, bro, with a guy that I sat next to at work. And his name was Jordan Redwood. He's a legend. George, I don't know where you are these days, brother.
Shout out.
But you are the man. So I was 19 at the time, bro. I had flunked dropped out of uni. And I already had a bit of savings, and I was saving up like more. I was working 3 jobs at the time, doing student job search, working at Westpac Stadium, and working for Red Badge Security. True. So, nice. Bro, I was just saving up heaps of money, and my plan was to buy a house. Because back then, this was 2015, bro, houses in Wainui were less than $200,000.
Ah, right. That's like what the boomers, like
bro,
the old days of the boomers.
So that's why, like, when low-key, like, all my age group talk about, like, oh, you guys could get houses under 200K, you pieces of shit. I join in complaining, but, like, also.
We could.
I remember. We also could have done it. So, bro, I was saving up for a house, and I had this life-changing convo because my bro who sat next to me, Jordan, I was 19 at the time. He was, like, 30, 31. And he just saw me looking on Trade Me one day, like Trade Me property. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, just looking at what house I'm thinking of buying. I'm getting pretty close to my goal, like to get a deposit down. And he's like, wait, how old are you? And I was like, 19. He's like, bro, turns his computer off, turns to me and goes, don't do that. It'll be the worst mistake you ever make in your life, buying a house. Because you'll put that mortgage down, And now every single decision from there is now going to be around how you're going to continue to be able to pay your mortgage. And at 19 years old, financial commitments in that, like, of that breadth is the last shit you need to be worried about. And he goes, get that money, whatever you've got now, and go traveling. I don't care if you, like, how much have you saved? And I told him, and he's like, you should quit here tomorrow and go. And bro, I took his advice.
Man.
So, not straight away. It was like maybe 6 months to a year later. I just went traveling for 6 months.
Man, do you go like Europe or?
Yeah, bro. I went mostly around Asia and then did a little bit of Europe as well, just on my own.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, bro, like it just fully opened my eyes to, you know, everything that's possible. Once again, just like how Scott's did, how it opened my eyes just a little bit. Traveling opened it even more. And then I came back and started stand-up comedy.
Far out.
Yeah, bro.
Do you think your mate Jordan's advice is accurate? Like if we run another scenario and you're 19 and you put that deposit down, do you think you're where you are today?
No, I hate him every day for it because I was like, you should have let me buy that house, you fucking motherfucker. Nah. Honestly, I look at George's advice and I'm like, that set me on a completely different pathway. Because at the time I was also the only reason it took me another year to go and travel was because I did quit SJS, but it was to go back to uni to do property development. Yep. So I was about a year through like my commerce degree, and then I transferred that to Unitech to do property development. Yep. So I was about 2 years through Unitech already, and so I was still kind of on that pathway of like, okay, I've got his advice of traveling. I think I will do that, but maybe I want to do some study because I want to go straight into the property industry afterwards. Yeah, yeah. And I had an internship and everything. So like, you know, I was kind of doing all the, you know, it was still stuff that my family could be proud about. You know, their son's studying at uni. He's got an internship. He wears a suit to work. Yeah. Like, fucking oath.
Yeah, yeah. Works in property. It sounds mean.
Bro, you know, a brown dude that gets to wear a suit to work. Like that's brown family's golden child right there. So like, you know, I was fulfilling, I guess like their ideal of like where I should be. Yeah, but bro, I like hated every second of it. And I guess Jordan's like advice just kept ringing in my head of like, because essentially what I narrowed it down to, what he was telling me was, don't think about money at your age. He was telling me experience first, like go and see what's out there. Yeah. And then when I finally made that jump, bro, like I really look back and I'm like, my life would have been completely different if I didn't do that. 100%. Because I would have just stayed on that route that I guess we all do of like, okay, I need to chase security and stability and money. And from the moment I decided to just throw away all my savings, not throw away, but chuck all my savings on traveling, I guess I made the first decision in my life that I'm going to put experiences and what I want to do first. Yeah. And then I haven't stopped choosing that over stability and money since. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a good way. Like, I definitely should probably have a bit of balance, but it's been unreal ever since. Yeah, 100%. And I was definitely the same as a young fella. Like, did not have I had so many mates had a clear defined path of exactly like I'm gonna do A, B, and C and end up in D. You know what I mean? Yeah, same. And my brain did not work like that. And I became a dad at 16, so I was like, I need to. Did you really? Yeah, bro. I was like, I definitely jumped the curve pretty quick there. Got a bit excited, but then I was like, okay, I can't, like, university isn't really an option for me right now. I need to work and get money. Yeah, got you. To, you know, put sort of food and shelter on the table. But I was always just kind of looked at my mates who had that clear defined path of university, get this job. I was just like very blown away at like how your brain can work like that. Yeah, yeah. But I'm a massive advocate as well for like experiences as well. Like that's just, you learn so much traveling the world, eh? Yeah, and so like if you don't mind me asking, like having a kid so young, did that hinder your ability to like put experiences first, or did you still manage to like find a way to prioritize that in your life, or like how did it affect your life in that way? Yeah, it's a good question, bro. I think like first, like, I've got such an amazing supportive family, so like that's been, if I didn't have like my old man and, you know, my mum to sort of lean on if I'm like, oh cool, there's a gig I want to go to, or I did like some solo travel in Bali once, like it would not be possible without like the support of my family. But I think
yeah, it totally changed my life, like completely. Because bro, I look back at photos of me as a 16-year-old, like holding my daughter, and I'm like, fuck, I don't even look 16, bro. I look 12, like literally.
Crazy.
So it's wild. Yeah, man, it's definitely
That's
a
amazing.
crazy story and experience, eh?
Bro, that's holy shit. That's is there a protest happening today?
Don't know. It's probably just the mob.
Yeah, bro, because I've heard heaps of like tooting and shit in town as well.
True.
But bro, that's amazing, man. And so like, yeah, like how old is
She's 8 now, turning 9, which is
wow.
crazy. And to think I've got like a 10-year-old next year is fucking
Bro,
terrifying.
that is crazy.
Yeah, bro. But nah, it's definitely like if I hadn't had my daughter at that age, like I would not be like doing the work that I'm doing now for sure.
Yeah.
And it like, I guess you hear it from all sorts of parents. It's like when you just have a shift of perspective almost when you've got like a little person to look after.
In what way? Like, because I've heard that heaps. Like my sister described it as she just like started taking less shit from people.
Yeah.
But like what is that? Like, tell me about what the perspective shift is.
I think it's like you've just got something else. Like when you're when you're young, it's just you. It's yourself you got to worry about, and it sounds really obvious. But when you've got someone else, it's like I guess you look at different opportunities different as well. Like you're probably a bit more invested into things which might create a bit more security. So stuff like that, and just being more intentional, I think, with the time that you got as well.
Yeah. So
like, I don't know, spending time with my daughter, it's like you really want to be as present as possible. Because like now I'm at the stage where I'm like, I remember being an 8-year-old. Like you've got experience, like you've got memories, you've got experiences, rather than being like a 2-year-old. But even just like, bro, parenting in general, there's no like handbook, eh? Like that's the hard thing. Like I'm 25 now, and like, I've really realized this year and last year that being a dad to a 8-year-old is so much different than being a dad to a 5-year-old.
Damn.
Like she's got crushes and stuff at school.
That's crazy,
it's wild.
bro.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's pretty scary.
What I was talking to this dude, because I was just selling like heaps of shit out of my place, and I just randomly started talking to a guy that bought some stuff off me, and he was like telling me about he just had a kid and stuff, and he was asking me if I had thought about having kids, because I've been with my partner for like a while now, and I was telling him like, oh, he goes, do you think you'll have kids anytime soon? And I was like, oh, nah, I think I want to, and he finished my sentence. He goes, you want to wait till like you're more stable financially? Nah, bro, fuck that. And I was like, oh shit, okay, like what? And he goes, a lot of like, he was talking about himself, but he's like saying that myself and a lot of my mates, they waited for like that stability, but it was actually having a kid that brought that stability, because it forced them into that mindset to actually finally be organized and plan for the future and do all these things that he was going to wait to have a kid to start doing, but it actually took him having gone through that to start doing that. And I thought that was so interesting.
That's a really good perspective. I kind of wish I said that when you asked me. This is a lot more sort of profound.
No, but I think the cool thing about you though is like this guy was a little bit older, and he was kind of talking about it from a I don't want to like speak necessarily for him, but like it did kind of seem that he regretted not having done it earlier. True, because he's a little bit older. True. And I think that even though it would have been hard as shit back when you did it, bro, like I can already tell it's that experience has brought you so much fulfillment to your life that 100%. Not many other 25-year-olds will have.
Yeah, bro. And
bro, that'll pay off like and it clearly has already. And will pay off like tenfold even more in the future. Yeah, bro. And I reckon that's mean, bro.
Yeah, 100%. It's yeah, it's super interesting, eh? And I like my daughter Kyla's like kind of catching on to the fact that I had it early. Like I sometimes overhear her talking with her friend. She's like, "Yeah, my dad had me at 16," sort of thing. My dad's 25. And,
it's
like,
crazy.
I go to like play dates, eh? And like all of her like friends' parents, obviously like the age of my parents, which is crazy. But it's cool. It's
bro,
cool.
How was that? You got to tell me about that. Like, what is that like? Meeting her friends' parents, and like, are they ever shocked that you're her dad?
I think not anymore. Not anymore. But like you definitely feel that a lot when I was younger, like even taking Kyla to the playground and being like, people would be like, oh, is it your little sister sort of thing? And even, or they know that I'm Kyla's dad, and like just the judgment you'd sort of feel at the playground, because there's not a positive stereotype around teen parents, right? So like I definitely feel a lot of like, I don't know, weird eyeballs coming my way in the supermarket or at the playground, and that was pretty weird to navigate. So.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So, would you have kids one day, bro?
Yeah, bro. Definitely. I've for sure always wanted to. I think I don't know, with no real, you know, I'm never ever gonna talk as if I like know a shitload about parenthood or anything. But I think for me, I just had always become content with the idea I was probably going to be a bit of an older first time dad. And older in the sense like, you know, maybe like mid-30s, possibly even late. But yeah, I mean, I know that bro said what he said about like stability coming, but I think for me, I just had always had this idea in my head that I'll get all these things, you know, sort of done in my life, and then I'll kind of start to look at that, especially because I like the kind of parent that I want to be, which is like really probably overly present and active, which is a privilege, you know, not many people actually have. Yeah, bro. It is a position that I think like I'll be able to be in at some point, so that's kind of really where I want to be by the time I have kids. Yeah, that's good, and especially with your line of work now, right? You're traveling so much. Yeah, that would be really hard to. Yeah, and it's hard, eh? Like I see so many, and I look at professional athletes who have kids. That sure looks hard, bro. It looks so tough. Yeah. Like to be spending time away from your family. Look like Dan Hooker in the UFC, who's got like a daughter, and it's like, man, just to spend long periods of time away and like miss out potentially on some of those key moments. You never get that back. And that's my thing, bro. I kind of don't really want to be doing that shit by the time they come around. So like, I mean, it's. Again, like it's a while away, like probably 10 years at most, and maybe a little bit less. But I know I'll take a considerable time off of like what I'm doing when I do have kids, like retiring in a way. Yeah. So my whole sort of plan will be getting myself financially ready to be in a position to like be able to do that. Yeah, bruh. So like, just because, like I do have a lot of cousins that play professional rugby, and like I had a dad that traveled a lot, and my old man, like he did so much for me, and like I love him, and we have a great relationship. But I think at the same time, like there were a lot of things that like we missed together, that I think for me, I've said like I'm not really gonna accept that, like when it comes to my kid. And that's not to fault my dad at all. Like he wasn't in a position like what I could possibly be in. So because I have the potential ability to be able to do that, my thing is like, I will. Yeah, bro. And to work towards that. That's really good. I like that. And your old man and your mama and like IT, eh? Yeah, bro. Yeah. Oh, fucking. Must have been peeking through my window. Yeah, bro. Yeah. So they're in IT. So, you know, it's a really intense, workforce, you know, long hours. It is a lot of traveling. Like it was a lot of traveling on my old man when I was younger. So, and it is one of those things where like IT is a difficult one because technology is constantly changing. Hard out. And bro, like especially back then, eh? Yeah, like, back then, and like, and now, bro, it's even more so. You could be an expert in, you know, sort of like in a kind of, you know, technical like language and some sort of like technical discipline within IT, and it's completely redundant like 5 years later. Like maybe the biggest company in the world stops buying that technology, and so now everyone's like, oh yeah, no, we don't really need that expertise anymore. And like it's a freaky kind of ever changing landscape like that. And so my old man's constantly, I think that's why like I feel bad for him, because it is constantly changing. So he's constantly having to like upskill and stuff. Upskill, pivot, and you know, for some people like they love it, but I don't know. I think at some point in your life you want to have at least felt like you get a bit of leeway for how much work you put into it, like my dad has. But 100%, it doesn't seem like he's gotten that. Yeah. So that's why again, I wanted to approach a career where I was like, okay, there's a lot of very hard times and hard hours, but there is a lot of like off time you get where you can just kind of fuck around and do nothing. Hard out. Yeah, bro. Like imagine being the like creator of the fax machine, or like the expert on like fax machines, and then just
I've never used a fax machine in my life.
No.
Eh? Yeah.
And like, bro, you know those like beeper things?
What ones?
Like the ones they used to wear back in the day. It's like they call it a beeper.
A beeper.
See, you don't even know what the fuck it is.
Nah.
Exactly. See, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Bro, and going back into your story. So you go to uni. That's not your like the path which you were going to go towards. There was a period there. Looked through some like old podcasts and stuff, and you mentioned that you were like living in your car as well.
Yeah, bro.
What's that like? How did you get in that situation, bro?
Bro, so it was like this is a good question because I probably haven't really delved that deep into like this part of it, like how I even got into that. But basically, what had happened was a bunch of my bros were moving out of a flat that we were all in, and there was like 9 of us in the flat, so I was paying real cheap rent.
Yeah,
but I was struggling to find work at the time, and this would have been 2018. This would have been 2018.
Is this before you went overseas or after?
This was after.
After.
Yeah, this was after. This was probably not long actually after I had gotten back. So I didn't have any savings.
Yeah.
And I had started comedy at this point. And it's actually a lot less now, and I think COVID did that. But back then, bro, like you pretty much struggled to get a job if you didn't have like a uni degree. And what I really struggled with was, I think I was a really good example of falling in between the cracks because, you know, I would apply for like an admin assistant job or some kind of like, you know, office-based job that I had the skills for, you know. But because I hadn't finished my uni degree, like I wasn't getting a look in. But then I'd apply for like a laboring job or, you know, like I remember specifically applying for this graffiti cleaning job. And the lady said, well, obviously you're perfect for the job, but we're not going to hire you because just based off of all of, you know, the interview and like your experience, because at that time, like, you know, I taught myself how to like code websites, and I had like a full portfolio and like, you know, all this all these coding languages and stuff, and I'd done like IT certificates like through high school and stuff through my dad, so I was really like technologically literate, so I had all those skills. And so the lady was just like, well, we just know you're going to leave once you get a good job.
You're too ambitious to work here.
Bro, but like she basically said that, and I was just like, I just need a fucking job. Like I'm broken, I got nothing.
Yeah,
like,
fuck, that'll be hard.
Yeah, bro. And so it was I was the perfect example of someone that was like kind of falling in between the cracks, and like I didn't have, because I was like so young, I didn't have like enough of a, I can't remember as much, but I didn't have enough of a credit history to like even just get on the dole. Like I was struggling to get on the dole.
True.
And I think it maybe was something to do with like the fact that I had like a like uni loan and like all that kind of shit. So bro, I was just like in this such a
like no man's land.
Bro, it was like the biggest like niggle of a situation where like I remember just sitting there thinking like literally every single point that I could have made a decision to help me in this, I've made like the wrong decision. Fuck. And I'm now in this like tiny hole where I'm kind of fucked. Like I don't really know how to get out of this. So, like I don't think they mind me talking about it because I have talked about it a lot. But because of my decision to step away from uni and like focus on comedy, like my family and I weren't that close at the time as well. So, bro, I was just fully stuck in this sort of, yeah, like you said, no man's land on my own. And that was hard for sure, but bro, my biggest driver was like, you know, I had started comedy about 6 months before that. I was feeling so good about where I was at and what I wanted to do. So pretty much, bro, I just started living out of my car, and what I would do is I'd park up my car at this like beach called Mission Bay in Auckland.
Yeah, in Mission Bay.
Yeah, so I'd park at Mission, and then I had a City Fitness membership. It's like $7 now, but back there it was like $5 a week.
Bro,
so
I'm on the $6.99.
So yeah, so
good.
it's cheap as shit. Bro. Yeah. So I go shower City Fitness, the old Newmarket one before it moved into the Flash Westfield. So I go shower in there, and then I'd head down to Epsom Library and just work out at Epsom Library, and I just did that for 6 months, bro, every day.
Far out. So you were living in your car for about 6 months?
Probably a little bit. Actually, probably a little bit less. Probably more like 4. But I just kept doing like the Epson Library shit for like a solid 6 months, bro. And it was weird, bro. This was probably the buzziest part of it. I moved into my auntie and uncle's place, like around the middle of that year, I guess, or a little bit later. It was actually a little bit later, probably like September, October-ish. I moved into their place, and then a week later, I released this like web series that I've been shooting with my bro called This Is Auckland. And on the night of the premiere, I parked my car up on K Road, which is like a famous road in Auckland. Yeah, the car I'd been living in, and I'd literally just moved into my uncle and auntie's place that week, and then someone drove into the car, bro, while it was parked and rode it off.
Bro, imagine if you were in there.
Bro,
imagine you were sleeping.
This thing I've been sleeping in for months on end, and then this drunk driver, bro, in like a full-on, like massive ass truck, not only crashed into it, almost drove over the top of it.
Holy shit! Do you think that's the universe like closing that
100%
chapter for
bro.
you? And it was like, okay, boom.
Bro, I'm so glad you put, because like that was the first. I remember when it happened, and that was the first thing that came to my head. I'm like, this is fucked, like hell. Because up until that point, bro, like I wasn't super spiritual, and I wouldn't say like I am overly now, but that was kind of one of the first instances that I remember being like, okay, the universe is absolutely like
putting things
something that sends you messages and
shit,
lets you know when it's there. And bro, that was one of them, and like I still like kind of get chills down my spine like thinking about it. But yeah, man, that was kind of the end to that chapter, and then that sort of started, you know, I guess this upward trajectory that my life's been on. There's definitely been hard times in between, but yeah, bro, that was a massive turning point.
Far out. That's wild.
That was hectic.
That is crazy. And you mentioned that you like wrote out basically like a list of stuff you wanted to do, and like comedy was at the top.
Yeah, bro.
And what were some of the other things that was on there?
Bro, so it was rugby coaching.
Yeah.
Interior design.
Nice.
I think volleyball coaching might have been on there. Because I was coaching. I had coached volleyball like all through high school.
True. Not to get close with Sheila's. It wasn't
maybe not. I'm trying to think. It was a bunch of stuff. I mean, yeah, it was a loose as list. I think hopping on like super yachts. Like I had a bunch of mates that had done that.
Or like working on them and stuff.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So stuff like that. I was more into the gym back then, so probably like gym related shit.
PB.
Yeah. All that kind of shit. Yeah. But stand up actually wasn't even the most prominent one, but it was the first one I'd written, because like only a few months before that I had done a speech at my bro's 21st, and I remember his uncle like came up to me real drunk, and he was like, "Mate, do you do stand up?" And I was like, "No, man, I just chill." And he's like, "You should fucking do it."
True.
Yeah, bro.
Was that the impetus for you to?
That was like the second one, because the first, I had one other one in high school.
Yeah.
But that was like the main one that I remember, and like that made me write it down on the list, and then putting it on the list made me try it.
True.
And then changed my life.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro.
And well, like I guess to put it into perspective, like what is that first moment like when you're reaching out to a club, you've never done stand up before in your life, and you're like, "Yo, give me a shot." Like, and I've been to an open mic night at, I think, the Fringe Bar.
They're brutal, eh?
Bro, it's brutal. The best fucking entertainment. Like, never sit at the front. The MC will fucking roast you.
Yeah.
And like, some people just absolutely bomb.
Eat shit.
But it's so funny.
Bro.
It's like, it's hilarious. And they're just giving it a go. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's it like putting yourself into that vulnerable position?
Oh, it's freaky, man. And I didn't really have like a massive reference point to stand up. Like I definitely watched stand-up comedians, but I didn't necessarily know much about like the open mic scene, or like how it all worked.
Yeah.
And like writing material, shit like that. I didn't really know much about it. So yeah, I don't even know how I figured out to do this, but I just got told that to start stand-up comedy you have to email the owner of the comedy club. And the Classic Comedy Club, it's now, there's now 2 comedy clubs in the whole country, but at the time that was the only one, and it's the most famous and the oldest, and the most prestigious. And
is it up in Auckland?
Up in Auckland, around Queen Street. And so I just emailed the owner, Scotty, and you just email him and say, hey, I'm a new comedian, and they chuck you on something called Raw, like Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
and that's just where all the newcomers come and
True.
try shit out. And I was so nervous, bro, that it got to my night, and I emailed him and told him I was sick. I was all good.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
No way.
But yeah, I told him I was sick, and I thought that he would just be like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it," and I'd be sweet. But then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'll just move you to next week."
True.
And then I was like, "Oh fuck, okay."
Thank God he did that.
I can't cancel twice.
Yeah. 100%.
So I ended up just rocking up and doing the next week, and yeah, bro, I had never had something in my life just click like the moment I did it, and stand up was that thing that it just made sense from the moment I tried it, and it was so weird and such like a perfect moment, and then yeah, bro, it's kind of how it happened.
I think you took off at like the perfect moment as well, with the grind of like trying to be a stand-up comedian must just be brutal. Like you're just going up there week after week trying. Like how many shows do you reckon you were doing? And like
shit, bro, like I was probably doing at my peak, like I was getting up 5-6 times a week. Wow. And in Auckland that's hard. Like there's at the time there was only probably 3 regular like comedy open mics. So I was doing music open mics, bro.
True.
That's how so how I got good so fast was like, if I don't say so myself, was I was going to music open mics with, you know, people rocking up fucking singing songs and playing the ukulele and doing comedy. And when you're at a music open mic as a spectator, the last thing you want to hear is someone fucking up there bullshitting.
It's a whole different vibe.
Bro, it completely changed the vibe. Because like I would come up after a lady who's just played violin and like absolutely set the mood. And then I'm like up here a couple months into stand-up, just like doing a horrible attempt at stand-up comedy. And it teaches you to like come into a cold room, you know, like you're basically hosting yourself, you know, there's nobody bringing you up. You've got to set the mood and get the audience engaged and get them interested, and slowly but surely, like it was freaky at the start, and but I just started to get more and more comfortable with it. And then, you know, after sort of 2-3 years of doing that, I just sort of got to a point where I just wasn't really scared of stepping up anywhere.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, bro. So it was pretty crazy to start with. Yeah.
With what I was trying to get at earlier is like, you know, I feel like being a comedian now is a lot, not a lot easier, but with the rise of social media and bringing your comedy onto social media platforms, you can build that like following. Yeah, for sure. So much better than, you know, 30 years ago, 20 years ago when you had no Instagram and no Facebook, no Reels.
Definitely.
And I think when I first like heard and saw some of your work, bro, it would have been probably around lockdown, around those times.
Yeah, shit.
And I remember seeing your like Auntie Jacinda like FaceTime. Mate, it was just so funny for a time and period.
That's crazy, bro. That's ages ago.
Bro, and like that must have been some of the first sort of content that started like really blowing up for you.
For sure.
So did you see the opportunity within lockdown to be like, I'm just going to go gun-ho at this?
Bro, straight up. Like I made the active decision to, like I remember when lockdown started and they were like, you know, we're going to be locked down for 3 weeks. And I was like, I'm going to post a video every single day. And I have no idea what I'm going to post. But I had been working, because that was 2020, and I had started like posting on social media at the start of 2019, and I'd gotten myself to like, I remember I was at like 9,000 followers, and my goal was to get to 10,000. So I was like, okay, if I post every day over lockdown, I'll come out with like 10,000 followers. And I remember just like posting so much over that week that I went into lockdown with like 9,000 followers, and I came out with like 30,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah, bro. And it just went ham. And that was absolutely like my intention, but to say that I thought it was going to happen exactly that way was like a bit lame, but it was so crazy, bro.
That's wild. And because I think people don't understand like just how creative that is. Like you might just be scrolling on Instagram and see like a 15-second skit of Joey D, and you're like, okay, cool, you know, that's crack up. But like the thought process that goes into actually being like, I'm gonna make a video on FaceTime and Jacinda, or I'm gonna have this sort of angle.
It's a lot.
How do you personally like work through your material like that?
All of mine sort of comes from so it definitely you know, obviously comes from like life experience for sure. But I write all my material either walking or driving.
True.
So yeah, bro. And that's either stand up or like ideas for videos and shit. So the reason I was like pumping out content over lockdown was because I was walking every morning. So I was walking every morning. I was coming up with ideas for videos, and then I'd shoot one that afternoon, and then it was just kind of a rinse and repeat. And that just sort of, and that's still my process to this day. And it's just so crazy to see like how much of, I guess, myself and like how I work, I set out like over that period of my life. So, bro, like I was probably one of the only people in NZ that was loving lockdown. Eh?
Yeah. Well, you just got a captivated audience. I feel like everyone's screen time just went like up so much over lockdown.
Bro, it shot through, and then because one of the hard things was that at that time, like no stand-up comedians, like I guess quote unquote traditional stand-up comedians, were using social media like in the slightest. And the one that was killing it the most, like in stand-up, wasn't even a stand-up comedian. It was Jimmy Jackson. So, but Jimmy, who like the whole stand-up scene hated.
Yeah. Why did they hate him?
Bro, don't even get me started on stand-up comedians, bro. They're the worst.
True.
Yeah, bro. They're the worst. I could go all day on that.
Interesting.
It's just like a very insular like community, and this isn't to say all stand-ups are like this, but pretty much all stand-up communities are like this. It very much like breeds this mentality of like you have to go through all the rings that we've all gone through,
right? And
if you don't, like that, whatever you do like isn't valid,
right?
And Jimmy was like a good proponent of like that attitude because, bro, he was selling more tickets than all the dudes on 7 Days. And, you know, the whole stand-up scene was kind of just looking at him like, oh, look at this fucking little idiot, like making, you know, stupid videos online. But I looked at that and I was like, this dude is a genius.
Yeah.
Like, he's making more money than all of you.
Yeah.
Because you guys are supposedly, you know, I'm looking at supposedly like the best stand-up comedians in the world. And they're putting on their shows at New Zealand Comedy Festival, bro, selling 10 tickets. And I'm like, I remember seeing that and being like, I would rather be a shit comedian performing to 1,000 people than the best comedian in NZ performing to 5.
100%.
And Jimmy like really opened that up for me. So I remember just thinking, you know, I'm really gonna build this social media audience, but there is a time where I then have to cross it back to stand up, and so that's why I had that massive boost in like my audience over lockdown.
Yeah.
And then I put on a tour straight away afterwards. So
it's all intentional.
Yeah, bro. So they had sort of planned it all through, and that was hard as fuck. But yeah, bro, that was kind of the whole plan from the get go.
And at that point, after you do a rise in social media following, is that also when you book out SkyCity as well?
Yeah, bro. So it was. I put that whole tour on like basically just after lockdown, and.
Good timing, eh? Everyone was itching to like go out and do shit.
So, and it's so funny because, like, you know, at this point, I'm 3 years into stand-up, and 3 years into stand-up is still very, very early. Like, way too early to be doing what I was doing.
Right.
They say that when you're about 10 years into stand-up, that's when you are kind of ready to be doing, like, hour-longs.
Crazy.
And I would agree, to be honest. Like, you know, you need a lot of material and a lot of like you need really strong stage presence to like maintain an audience that long. Yeah. And bro, 3 years in, I just did not have that. But I knew that I'm probably only gonna have this audience this active like in this space of like 3 months after lockdown, because they've all just come out of home. No one's been spending money. Everyone's been getting government subsidy, so everyone's got money to like just throw away.
100%.
I'm gonna put something out that they can all just come to straight away. And bro, like I put up a whole tour and I sold something dumb like 10,000 tickets in like 20 minutes.
Fucking hell.
Bro, it was crazy.
What were you expect? Like, did you ever expect it? Like, do you think it could go like that? Do you have a
bro, I thought like to be completely honest, I was like, these will go fast. They'll go in a week. Cause that's fast. But to go in like
unreal, bro.
half an hour.
Crazy.
It was actually ridiculous. And for me it was like it was way too much, way too soon. But I knew going into that I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't ready for it. Like I was horrible on that tour, bro. But I managed to do the one thing that I needed to do was cross over from being a social media star and remind people that I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And when it hit the news that like, I was the youngest person to do SkyCity Theatre, and like, I was doing all these big theatres around town, and, I was only like 24 at the time.
Wow.
I think for everybody in the scene, they were just like, oh yeah, this guy's like serious. And I think the mainstream, like sort of New Zealand industry sort of saw me as like, oh, okay, he's not going to try and circle himself in like one arena. He's going to continue to try and cross over. And that was kind of when people like started to take me seriously for the first time.
Yeah.
So it all did exactly like what I had intended it to. It was way crazier than I had intended, but it was definitely what I had been hoping for.
It's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy, bro.
What was was there any second thoughts around booking a venue like SkyCity, which is so prestigious and so massive? Like, were you ever like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should just do like a sort of smaller store and sound it out?
Fucking oath. Like, I was originally going to do, it was called the Herald Theatre. I don't think it's there anymore. And that was 300. I was originally going to do like 3 shows there.
True.
Because that felt more, because bro, like the most, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I'd ever, no, I'd put on literally one solo show before this.
Far out.
And that was like for 80 people.
Crazy. And
So
you got, what's SkyCity? 700?
750?
750.
And so, you know, even having gone from like selling 80 tickets to going to 300 seems crazy. Well, you know, 900 if I'm doing 3 nights.
Yeah.
But 300 a night, like going to 300 seemed ridiculous. And so the prospect of doing 750 was like, felt stupid to me. But, and I almost pulled out of it.
Fuck.
Because they were like real quick to move on it. And because I went from me inquiring, within a day they were like, oh, we're so keen, and we're even keen to like put you on this and like do this marketing thing with you and like get our team behind it.
Man.
And I got like the speed wobbles. I was like, oh shit, like maybe I can't do this. I almost pulled out. And I just had this sudden I don't know, I just had this one day where I was just like, fuck it. We'll just do it.
Yeah.
And then books to go on the radio, put the tickets up, and yeah, bro. Like, I still remember it like it was yesterday, bro. They were gone fucking in like 10 minutes.
That's insane.
It was actually insane.
And was that like a 60-minute, like an hour-long sort of segment that you were doing?
Yeah, so over that whole tour, because so when you're about 3 years in, bro, you really have like maybe 10 minutes of good material, to be honest. And genuinely, I reckon I had 8.
True.
But I've got to do an hour.
Fuck, so you did an hour. Such a long time.
So what I did, bro, was I called my tour the Crowd Work Tour.
Yeah.
And I just said that all I'm going to do is like work the crowd.
Fuck, that's ballsy, eh?
Yeah. So people thought I was doing it as like a, you know, like a quirky thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But I was doing it because I had no material.
Far out.
Because I'm only 3 years into stand-up. So, bro, the whole tour, I just did it off the cuff.
What?
It was a full tour of just crowd work.
What?
And all the shows were going, like, to be honest, that whole tour, I was murdering.
Yeah,
like, it was going mean. And then SkyCity came, bro, and it was just like, it was the hardest gig of my life. And it was so bad. Because that size theater, like, you know, I just was not ready for like,
is like the timing different and stuff, like when you were playing in a bigger theater?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Like, it's the laughs are like 3 seconds longer. You know, when you're in a comedy club, it's a quick laugh onto the next. But when you're in a theater, you have to wait. Like, actually, it feels awkward when you're not used to it, having to stand there whilst people finish laughing. It sounds like a weird thing. But next time, if anybody listening ever goes to like a stand-up in an arena or a theater, like, actually count the seconds of how long it takes for the crowd to stop laughing. Because the comedian has to stand there and wait for them to finish.
Yeah.
And when you're not used to that, bro, like, it just throws off your timing. And I remember just like being miserable that whole weekend, bro. Because it was not only that, but I had like all the news and shit were coming through, and like I was doing like heaps of radio and stuff, and like there were even newscasters like there on the night, and like, and I've got like 40 people in my green room, bro. Like, half of them I've never even fucking met before.
Who are they?
Bro, like, okay,
the entourage.
This is the crazy thing. Is when you go through a period like that, so many people come into your life so quickly. Yeah. And like, this is something that you always get told, but until you experience it, you don't realize like how kind of undercover and how quickly it happens. And so that happened to me, bro. And so I just remember, like, it was funny. I was talking to my partner T about it the other day, And I was just like, you know what's crazy? Like 95% of the people that were backstage over that weekend, I haven't seen since.
True. That is crazy.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah. It's like the old thing, you win the lotto and like all these snakes in your grass comes out. You got new cousins and aunties you had no idea about.
Bro, and I'm like, and what I kind of talked about before, you know, with my family, like, you know, us not being that close at the time and stuff, and me not really having any people in my life, that was actually no different. It was still the same. So when all these people started just coming in, you know, I've been basically on my own for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Bar like my uncle and auntie.
Yeah.
So like all these people coming in, I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, yeah, fuck, okay, yeah, okay, I must be doing something right. Like people finally like me.
Yeah.
But it's that, exactly what you said, that lottery thing.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of starts coming out and everyone wants to sort of be in the limelight with you. But when you've never been in the limelight, and especially when you come from, you know, like a sort of humble, like brown background, like what I have, you're the kind of person to be like, oh yeah, sweet, like we can all share the limelight. All these people I've never fucking met before, like, yeah, you guys come in and we'll all be part of it. And it just became this like whole thing that I just did not have the tools to process, bro. And it was just like, it was a blur, and it was such a crazy time in my life.
How did you find, because after you do 2 nights sold out SkyCity, it's such a massive high. You know, you've achieved this thing which has been in your mind for ages, probably since the beginning of lockdown when you're building up that social media following. They always say like a lot of fighters get like athletes depression after their fight because, you know, you finish doing this crazy event, this fight, this performance, whatever, and then the next day it's just a normal day.
Bro, so this was the scary thing. The high didn't stop me for ages because I came off of SkyCity and you know, I'm getting offers to like create a show of Comedy Central, and I'm getting asked to do Celebrity Treasure Island, and I'm like getting all these offers to do these commercials and stuff. And I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this as like a 25-year-old that like before that year had never made more than 30 grand. Before that year, that for 2018 and 2019 probably spoke to all of 3 people that whole year.
Wow.
And then all this shit is coming in. It's like it's so beyond like your maturity level and like what you're even able to process that. Like, bro, it was a high that I never came down off of, and I didn't come down off of for like probably a whole nother year.
True.
Yeah, bro.
Was it just the momentum? Just keep like sort of pushing you?
It just kept pushing, and then to be honest, I remember because it was 2020. What's crazy, bro, is I probably didn't get to 2022 until the point where I was like, oh no, I've completely like I've done exactly what I said I didn't want to do after talking to Jordan Redwood when I was at Student Job Search, where I said I didn't want to go down a pathway that like people told me I should. I wanted to live my life my way, and it took me a year and a half to sort of see that I had done exactly what I didn't want to do, and that I'd just been riding this high for like that long. And it's almost freaky to realize to yourself that you have been just riding a high. Yeah. So it was a massive sort of sobering period. And I mean, that's an ironic word because also I like don't drink or do drugs. True. Yeah, bro. Like I drink like, you know, I'll drink like at my cousin's wedding and I have one or two, but like a real spirit. Yeah, but you know, basically don't. Also, like, I'm pretty much just, when it comes to like riding a high and riding dopamine, I'm just riding off of like the thrills of my career. And so because of that, like that became my vice, like what was happening in my professional life. True. So I just did that for like a year and a half, bro, and didn't come down, and that was a scary sort of realization to have been in there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised hearing that, bro, that you don't like touch any drugs or alcohol. I feel like I'm not, just because how dialed you are, you know what I mean? Sure, like man. That's sick. And I feel like it's such a cool story as well to tell to more young people who are like just stuck in the throes of getting on the piss every Friday and Saturday and then feeling shit for the rest of the week. Yeah. And like I've had Liam Malone on the podcast. He doesn't really drink that much. You know,
bro, Lee's is like one of my closest mates, bro.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So Lee's did stand-up comedy. Like,
yeah, that's right. He did,
like
bro.
years back. And so me and him, we used to like go on these little trips. We'd like come down here. We'd go down to like Christchurch, My very first ever like set of viral videos was from this like stand-up show that I did in Auckland. And at least filmed those for me.
True. No way.
So
he's a legend, bro.
he's the man.
Yeah, he's the man. It's so interesting just talking to him, like what he's had to experience growing up without any legs. Like, it's just fucking, and he's just so capable. Right. You know what I mean? He does not like define himself by having a disability.
No,
and to be honest, I guess technology is so good now. You stand up next to him, it doesn't even look like he's got no legs. Because if you wear his pants, it's like, cool, there's nothing, you know, you've got legs there.
Oh, that's bullshit. He's a scuck cunt still as well. So it's like, what the fuck? How does if this guy had legs, this guy would be a
would be a stud. Eh? He already is a stud.
Bro, he already is. He's got 2 of them.
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's huge, bro. And like, how do you at the moment look after your mental health?
So one thing that I always have done was I always had something from ever since. Honestly, I did it a lot in high school and it stemmed to even before that. But basically, I had my main 3 things that brought me just to 0. So, you know, if I was minus 100, it'd bring me to 0. And that would be walking, going to the movies, or driving. And I always made a point to sort of do those things. Nice. But one thing that I realized, the bad habit that I was getting into was I was only waiting till I was down to then do those things. But when I went through that period where I was like, you know, always on the up and like always looking for the next big thing, I wasn't doing as much stuff to like ground myself. Yeah. And so I do a lot of grounding stuff now outside of that stuff, but those have always been like my staples when it came to like bringing myself just back to ground level. And so now I do a lot of you know, normal sort of grounding stuff, meditation, journaling, on medication as well for ADHD. And like it all kind of brings none of those things are like you know, a magic thing that just like solves it overnight. But like all together, they all kind of start to move you towards like a better place within yourself. And so yeah, bro, that's like all the kind of shit I do for myself, and it's been unreal.
That's cool, man. That's massive. Yeah, it's I think when you get older, you get to really understand like your body more and like your own mental health, and just acknowledging that when you are feeling low, like it's good to do those things, but it's also just good to do those things as well, because it can help like make sure that you're all good.
For sure.
Yeah, it's sure. I think in the realm of social media too, like you're always comparing yourself against others.
Yeah, bro.
And do you see that in the comedy space as well?
Yeah, it's funny that I've always been pretty bad with comparison, and I definitely still am to a point, but I've gotten a lot better with a lot of that stuff that I guess I've started to implement in my life. But I guess the bigger process that I've sort of gone through is, now I've been so lucky over the last few years to go through like some, and I have been over my career to go through like some crazy moments. And sort of what I was alluding to before, like I guess part of my process is in the same way that I would go out of my way to bring myself to 0 when I was minus 0. Yeah. I also go out of my way to, when I'm on these extreme highs, to still bring myself back down to ground level, because you know, that whole process that kind of feels like I wasted 1.5 years of my life was because I never ever made the point to try to bring myself down. Because that's where you can then start to see, okay, maybe this isn't a good situation, or maybe that's not a great person for you. If you're constantly looking at the next and the next thing, you'll miss what's right in front of you. And so now that's kind of been like a massive thing that I focus on. So I just did SkyCity, like, shit, when was that? End of last year. And it was crazy again. Like the crowd was mad, but I made the point of, you know, obviously after you do that, all your friends want to go out and, you know, they all want to get on the person. I go have fun and like celebrate and stuff. But for me, I just said to my partner, T, you know, let's just go grab some like takeaways and go home and like watch a movie. And that was like the perfect thing to just bring me back down. And I know in a way it sounds like you're dulling yourself down from like celebrating a moment, but for me, I'm just like, well, the way that I'm celebrating it, you know, I don't want to celebrate it in that way. I want to celebrate it within myself, let myself know like how proud I am, like keep it an internal celebration. But I can't do that if I'm out there with 20 other people
putting on a front.
And exactly. And like, you know, like trying to give energy that I haven't got. if I actually just like go home and just chill and
Yeah, bro. I like that.
do what I just like doing during the week, which is, you know,
Hard
just watching like movies and shit with my missus. Like,
Yeah, bro.
that allows me to then do that whole process. So, bro, that's been like one of the best things I could have ever done was implementing that into my life, and it's been real good for me.
Fucking oath, bro. That's awesome. That's mean.
Sure, bro.
And you were over in the US as well, supporting on like a massive comedy tour.
Yeah, bro.
What was that whole experience like? And I'd love to hear.
Fuck, it was crazy.
Dude, it seemed, and like I think I'm really keen to, because in New Zealand, you know, we have such a Kiwi sense of humor.
Yo.
Like Kiwi comedy, you can like point it out
Straight
so
up,
obviously. Flight of the Conchords, like X, Y, and Z, Reese Darby. It's like a specific type of comedic angles and themes that I feel like a lot of New Zealanders only get.
Yeah.
So like, do you have to then sort of change your material?
Bro, I love this question because the biggest eye-opener for me, bro, I swear to God, I didn't have to change shit.
Really?
I changed nothing,
So
bro.
they get the old like Kiwi sort of humor.
Bro, it is actually crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it because I went on tour with a guy named Noel Miller, and bro, he was doing like massive venues. Like,
Wild. Is he just like a superstar?
Bro, he's huge. So he's started in stand up, but he became huge on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And bro, this guy's like 31 millionaire.
Fuck.
He took me to his house in like the hills in LA. It's fucking like this flash ass house. And I like I did something real cheeky. Dude, we're boys, so like even if he hit this fuck, he wouldn't give a fuck. But I was like FaceTiming my missus at the time. At the time, my missus now.
Yeah.
I was FaceTiming T, and like his house, and we were both just like in awe because obviously we've been around rich people, but it's crazy being around a rich person who's like your age, and like even more so who's become rich off like YouTube and like just like fucking around on the internet.
It's got that Mr. Beast money,
bro, straight up. And it was the craziest kind of experience. But anyways, where I was going with that was the venues he was doing were huge. And the first night that I did, I tried to do like a lot of American centric material. I came out doing a lot of American centric material. Yeah. And I was about like a minute or two in, and then I just go to the audience. I was just like, "Oh, you guys probably don't even know what the fuck I am. Like, what do you guys think I am?" And bro, like honestly, like 100 people out of like this 1,000 people were just like Moldy, and like they were all just saying like,
hey.
"Yeah, Moldy." And then another guy was like Pacific Islander, and I was like, "I'm a fucking idiot." Like, of course they would know. Like,
yeah, true. But
like,
you also, I feel like the stigma with a lot of people from the US is like they don't know the world outside of the US. So I can so see why you thought that.
And bro, like that's, I mean, it absolutely is a fair assumption because a lot of them don't. But also, it's a huge country, bro. Like, so many of them do. And like, one of the big things that I've been telling people is think of last year. Like, the biggest TV show last year was Squid Games.
Yep.
That's Korean.
Yep.
I don't fucking speak Korean. And I watched every single second of that TV show and loved it. And they had specific references to cities and maybe pop culture references. I didn't need them to explain it to me. Like, I can understand kind of what they mean, even if I don't understand the thing they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I realized that because of that, we all actually have the ability all around the world. So when I was going over to America and doing all this like kind of New Zealand sort of humor content, yeah, like they may not get exactly what I mean, but they can put two and two together and they can get like where I'm kind of coming from.
True.
And that was like the best eye-opener ever, bro.
Yeah, that's cool. It must be really refreshing as well to know that you're not like stuck inside this bubble of only doing comedy one way.
Bro, that's like, you nailed it. It's almost like a massive confidence boost because you're just like, oh, fuck, okay, like I don't have to start again when I come here. Like these guys, yeah, there's going to be small adjustments, but at the very least, like I can be accepted here. And then, you know, that's it. I have that as a base. Yeah. We can go wherever from there, but I don't have to do like all this work again that I thought I would have to when I come here. Yeah. And that was such a mean realization.
Yeah, it must be super refreshing. So what was the bros' house like?
Were
the boys decorating?
The brother was there. Fuck, he was decorating, bro. It was, I don't know, it was just so wild. Like I'm not an overly like materialistic person, bro, but like it was just fucking crazy. Kind of, you know what I was saying before, bro. He's just young as And they just live such like a chill lifestyle. And I think all of that I was just kind of in awe of. I was like, I can't believe people are living like this.
Yeah.
And like paying for this through doing stuff that like we find fun and like interesting. You know, of YouTube. Like his main thing, bro, is like reaction videos.
True.
He'll hate that I've described it that way, but like that's basically what he does.
True. And he popped off from that.
Bro, and he's fucking killed it. And like it's yeah, for me it was just such a cool sort of insight into
what's possible,
bro, totally. And I think connecting that with the fact that we don't actually have to do as much legwork as Kiwis in America as we assumed that we would. I think I just sort of put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh no, like I'm not 5 years away from taking over here. I could do this next year. Yeah, and that's why I am going this year.
Yeah,
so it was just it was such a mean experience, bro, and like, and yeah, man, like it's kind of wild. I'm just thinking about it now. Like it's kind of wild that I got to go and do that.
How many shows were you doing over there with him?
Fuck, I did a few.
So right around the country?
I only did the West Coast.
Yeah,
I think I did maybe like 10.
Shit, that's so sick.
Yeah, I think I did 10 in the end. And bro, it was so mean. We just had like a tour bus. Man. We just hung out for a week. I think the one thing that they were like maybe a bit miffed on, and I think a lot of people that don't really know me get caught off guard by this, but I think they didn't realize that I both like didn't really drink and wasn't a big partier.
True. Because
every time like they would all go out and do stuff, I'd just head back to the tour bus and just like chill.
Yeah.
And I think they probably clearly hadn't spent a lot of time around like Islander boys that like, because you know Islanders like we're very much like homebodies. We like chilling, like we like having fun, but we like sort of doing that at home, like in a safe environment. And you know, I'm very much like a proponent of my like culture in that sense. So I think they weren't really that used to it. I thought they just thought, I think they thought I just wasn't that into the trip.
Right.
And I was like,
social.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, I am. Like I'm fucking loving this. This is the best thing I've ever done. But we just kind of, you know, experience it in a different way.
Yeah, so true, bro. I was cracking up at one of your reels on Insta, and you were like, oh, I was over in the US recently, and you're saying how like the confidence of American guys approaching girls, and then like if that was to happen in New Zealand, it's so good, bro, and just like ooh cunt.
Yeah. If you even try to be confident to a girl here,
100%.
And bro, it was so funny. Like I thought I knew that was something that people would relate to, but I didn't realize like, you know, as many people would relate to it as they did.
Yeah.
But I thought that was just such a like. I thought that was such a funny sort of insight into New Zealand culture.
100%.
And into what we're like. We're so to ourselves.
Yeah.
That if you even try and think you can interrupt that.
Yeah. So who's got the better riz? Do you reckon it's like Kiwis or Americans?
Bro, I reckon because of that, Kiwis, we've got pretty good riz.
Kiwi
and like,
riz.
they love us.
True.
Like Americans.
I've never been over there, right?
You'd kill it, bro.
I'd love to go and check it out. Like try the food and shit.
But okay, and I'll say this like to you and anyone listening, like if you have ambitions to be there, honestly, go right now. Like you're ready, because the biggest thing with Americans, bro, is, and it's a big difference between Americans and Kiwis. When Kiwis see someone that's different, they kind of look at it as like a little bit threatening and a little bit of, almost as this is probably a weird thing to say for some people, but I really do think we see it this way. We almost take it as disrespectful because we're like, why do you have the nerve to think that you're allowed to be different? We do kind of have that underlyingness within us.
Yeah.
In America, bro, if they see someone different, it's toxic in its own way, but it's also really interesting. Their energy actually more becomes, how do I attach myself to this person? And because of that, like you're more likely, if you're different, to have doors open for you, because everybody wants to be the person that opened the door for you.
Oh, right.
They want to be able to say like, yeah, he came through here. Yeah, True. I did that with him.
Okay.
That's the best thing about the States, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not exactly, you know, for some people that may not be like genuine in a way because they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But at the same way, they're not doing the New Zealand thing, which is like, in a sense, blocking you from that progress.
Yeah. Being like a gatekeeper, eh?
Yeah, bro.
It's so, it's so true. And you just see how Americans even talk about themselves. It's so different to how we talk about ourselves in New Zealand. Like, you are from what I can gather, like if you're in America and you've got ambitions, you got dreams, I want to be the CEO of this company, I'm going to start this like organizations. People are like, hell yeah,
They love that shit, bro.
but over here you're saying that you get called to try hard.
Yeah.
It's like fucking, it's so backwards, eh?
My brother was listening to me on the phone with my manager the other day, and he's like your typical Hollywood agent, fast talking Jewish dude, like loud, fucking talks heaps of shit. And I'd come off the call, and like I could tell he was kind of put off by the way I was talking, because I was being like very direct and like probably coming across as like a little bit arrogant.
Yeah.
But one thing I was explaining to him is that you have to actually be what New Zealanders would consider arrogant. You have to sort of be that for them to trust you and believe in you. Because here, if you say for example, like I'm talking to you and you're like the fucking like best podcaster in the country, and what you are, bro? You're fucking good. You really are fucking good, bro. I love how much you've like researched and shit, and you're a great interviewer.
My guy, thank you.
Like in New Zealand, we do this thing where like if I was say I've never met you and I'm like, oh, I've heard you're the best podcaster in New Zealand, and you go, oh nah, mate, I'm pretty shit. Because we in New Zealand almost put an expectation on you to do that, we'll do the legwork for you and like, oh, nah, okay, he's being humble. We'd react to that like, oh, nah, okay, you must be the man. You must be the man. Whereas in America, if they were to go to you like, hey, I heard you're the best podcaster in the game, and you went, nah, I'm pretty shit, they'd be like, okay, well, fuck you. You'd be like, they'd look at you like, oh, well, I'm not going to waste my time then.
True.
Yeah, because
that's interesting,
you've just let them know. Because it's like, if you can't even vouch for yourself, then like, why the fuck would I vouch for you? That's their attitude.
Yeah, wow.
And so you have to be like what we sort of consider confident or cocky.
Or cocky.
Cocky.
Yeah.
For them to even like pay attention to you, let alone like consider you. And it's such an interesting like mindset shift.
Hard out.
But I reckon because of how far we cut ourselves down, if you're a person that wants to be ambitious, I think you benefit from being in that kind of environment, because it really brings you out from just your thoughts to, okay, I'm actually saying the things that I believe about myself that I want to do. Yeah,
that makes sense. And we're such innately like self-deprecating individuals.
Right, completely.
Like you cannot say like exactly what you're saying. You cannot say a compliment to any individual without them just fucking throwing it off.
Yeah, bro, throwing it off, and like, oh fuck, if you compliment yourself, like you're immediately a fuckwit here.
100%.
Which is like, I find it such like I do find a lovable thing about us, but I also find like a frustrating thing as well, because the way they sort of do it, I guess it just gets rid of like a lot of fluff, you know. And that's kind of how I describe Americans, is like they are direct, but you kind of realize in their conversating with them how much we waste time in New Zealand. Like, bro, one of the first interactions I had when I ever got to America was I go up to this like airport worker, and I was trying to figure out how to like connect to the Wi-Fi, and I asked it in a New Zealand way. I was like, oh, hey, like, sorry, I just was wondering, like, how do I connect to the Wi-Fi here? And the guy was just like, look at the sign. And it just had the sign. And I was like, fuck, I just realized how much I just wasted time.
Yeah,
and
true.
I didn't have to apologize to him.
Yeah.
I didn't have to like be nervous. I could have just said, hey, where's the Wi-Fi? Because he wasn't, he didn't feel any need to give me a courtesy, which he didn't.
True.
So why did I like immediately put myself in that position?
Yeah.
And you realize just how much we fluff around and like waste time, where it's like, you know what you want, just say it. Yeah. And that's kind of their whole attitude.
Yeah. And I feel like we can't really ever like address issues very well, or conflict.
We're horrible.
Like you'll dance around it and you'll say 5 compliments and then you'll say something like, we just exactly what you're saying,
bro. I do this joke about so say you had 10 flatmates, or say you had 9 flatmates, right? There's 10 of you on a flat, and say all 9 of you hate one person in the flat. You know, they don't do the fucking dishes, leave their laundry out in the lounge, smell, you know, fucking always messy as. Anywhere else in the world, all 9 people would get together and figure out a way to like confront this one person who they clearly have all agreed they have an issue with. Everyone's on the same boat except this one person. They're all going to get together and figure out how to talk to them and confront them. Would we do that in New Zealand?
Nah.
Fuck no.
Nah.
All 9 of us would get together and figure out when we're going to move out.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll be left by himself.
There's 9 against 1, and we're all the ones moving out.
Yeah, 100%. That is so true, bro.
And
so
like,
true.
we're just so conflict averse.
Yeah, avoid all confrontation at all costs.
Avoid all of it.
Yeah.
And we'll really like make sure we move our life around to avoid conflict as much as possible.
Hard out.
And that's what I respect about Americans. Like, yeah, they do it in a way that's fucking annoying. Like, they do. But at the same time, with how direct they are and how quick they are to, like, engage, they get so much more done. And that's one thing I love about over there.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll have to go check it out sometime.
Bro, you got to go.
I'll let you know if I do and recommend any cool spots to check out and things to do.
Yeah, bro.
But while you're over there, is that also when you linked up and did a set with Theo Vonn?
Yeah, bro.
Tell me about that. That's wild. I saw that photo. I was like, bro, is a New Zealander next to Theo Vonn?
It was crazy, bro. It was funny. Like the story is so random how it happened, bro. But it's a very LA story. So when you're in entertainment, and actually it might not even be an entertainment thing, bro. I think it's honestly just the city. Like you always are bumping into celebrities and like random people. True. And if you're like myself and you're kind of unashamed with just like starting convos with people and you don't really give a fuck, bro, the crazy places you can get, it was unbelievable.
True.
So how it happened, bro, was my mates, we'd all gone for a hike, and it's in a very random part of LA. Like, it would be essentially like us living in the CBD in Wellies, but going for a hike in Pukeroa Bay.
True. Yeah.
But not being from Wellies.
Yeah,
so like it's a random fucking place for tourists to be. So we're going for a hike in this area, bro. Like this little ass, like random ass country part of LA. And we're just walking to this restaurant in this little ass town. There's like fucking 5 shops, bro. Walking to this little restaurant. And I just said to my mates, Grace Palmer, she's a Māori girl from Christchurch, bro, and she's on like this massive TV show in the States called Animal Control. Fuck, she's cracked it. And her partner, Ra, is like one of the best actors in the country. Like, they're unreal. Like, this Māori couple, bro, and they're fucking cool. And anyways, we're walking to this restaurant, and then I just see this like little ass juice bar, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna pop across the street, go grab a juice. And so I just like order my juice, and I'm sitting in there. And Theo just walks in, bro.
I reckon he'll like stand out so much.
Oh, bro,
it's Theo Vonn.
It was so obvious to him, and he just walks in, and I just go, Theo, and he goes, "What's up, man?" And I was like, "What's up, brother? Big fan." I just stood up and like introduced myself. I was like, "Bro, I'm a big fan. I'm a comedian from NZ. I heard you just did like this. We just got back from San Diego, me and Noel, and he did this massive theater in San Diego."
True.
And it's like 2,000 people, bro. And Noel did 2 shows, and I thought that was crazy. Theo had just done 7 shows at this place, bro.
Holy shit.
Fucking like killed it. But anyway, I said that to him. I was like, bro, I heard you just got back from the theater. And he's like, yeah, man. And I was like, oh, I just did it too. And he's like, what do? You a singer? And I was like, nah, bro, I do stand up. And he's like, oh, fuck. Man. So he's like, let me just order this. So he like went and ordered his juice, bro, and then he sat down and we talked for like an hour.
Unreal.
And it was crazy. And
that's sick.
Bro, it was crazy. And so he was like asking me about my career and like my stand up, and it was crack up because he was asking me about my stand up, and he was like, well, so what kind of shit do you do? And I was like sort of explaining to him, and he's like, oh, I don't really get it, man. Show me a video. And I showed him a video of like one of my bits, and he's like, oh, you funny.
Fuck, what a compliment.
Bro, it was so good. And like, fuck, he's buzzy. He's even buzzier in person.
I was going to ask, because I feel like he plays into a bit of a character, but is that...
Oh, it's not a character.
It's not a character.
Nah. And it's toned down.
Hey, true.
He's a buzzy dude, bro.
Because
my cousin's picking me up. Oh, the bro's here to get me.
Fuck. Shy. Oh, for those people listening, we got one of those like external cars that blast their shit music.
The sirens. I knew we were in beta.
Oh, right, yeah, this is probably do it for you. Where was I? Oh yeah, just like Theo Vonn's character. So because he's gone to university and stuff, but I feel like he plays into like a sort of redneck but like,
so he's not dumb.
No, he's very intelligent.
Nah, he's a real smart dude. He knew about New Zealand. He knew about Māoris.
Man. So
he asked me if I was Māori. He's asking me like what part of New Zealand I was from. He's a smart dude, but he's just real like he's just buzzy, bro. One thing I was telling people was he doesn't look at you when he talks to you, bro.
True.
He looks just above your head.
True, I can imagine him doing that.
Imagine talking to someone and they're just looking above your head, bro. It's so off-putting. So he's just sitting there just like talking like that. He just kind of like rattles on, but he was such a interesting dude, and he was so cool, bro. And so he was just like, "Hey, I'm doing a show tonight, at the Comedy Store. Like, you want to hop up?"
No way.
And I was like, "Yeah, bro, fucking oath."
That's sick.
And then my manager knew his manager, and they linked it up, and then bro, got to do the show.
Man, bro.
There was like fucking hella celebrities in there.
Fuck, that's cool.
It was like honestly one of the buzziest nights of
that's
my
awesome,
life,
and all because you had the balls to go talk to someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
That's so sick.
And but the coolest thing is that like in America, they're just like that in general.
Yeah.
So if you buy into that culture as a foreigner, you know, one, they're not used to people like each other just starting convos because they all do that to each other.
Yeah.
But then because you're a foreigner, they're like way more open to it.
Yeah, true.
So at first, when I said his name, I could tell that he wasn't really paying attention, so he probably just assumed I was American. And then when he heard my voice again, he's like, "Oh fuck!" What?
Yeah, true. That's mean, bro. And is that someone that like you've got to like you guys will keep in touch if he ever comes to NZ? And
yeah, like relatively. I mean, like I'd definitely be lying if I said we're best mates. Like we definitely started a real good relationship that night.
Man.
We haven't kept in touch since, but he did a real cool thing. He took me to meet the programmer at the Comedy Store, and just basically said to him like, put this guy on like whenever he's in town, which is a massive deal. Like it's the Comedy Store. It usually takes a comedian 10 years to get a chance to perform on the main stage.
True.
And so for me to be able to perform there the first time I ever gone, bro.
It's wild, eh?
And I'm only like the second Kiwi to have ever done it.
Unreal.
And the other one was Reese Darby, bro.
Hey,
so like it's like a really prestigious room to be in, and like I just knew it was crazy when like the news was hitting me up and shit from back home. Like fucking like
yeah, man, that's massive. He's like an A-list sort of celebrity now, eh? He's
bro,
he's massive.
He's killing.
He's smashing it.
He's huge. He's doing. I mean, he's in Sydney, and I think he's doing 3 shows, maybe 2, maybe 3 shows at the Aware Super Theatre, bro. That seats 8,000 people.
Fucking hell, that's wild,
bro. It's fucking crazy. So like, he's in another stratosphere.
Yeah, man. And
I just thought it was so. I thought it was so cool that like he even gave me the time of day, let alone gave me a cool opportunity like that. But I'll tell you one thing about him, bro. Real down to earth, and I know this because his car was so shit.
Hey, I'm not surprised,
bro.
Eh? It was like Toyota Corolla sort of thing.
Bro, it was like a Jeep that like fucking your granddad would have like. It was dirty as, bro. Like I saw the inside of it, messy as, like fucking fast food and shit all over the ground.
Not surprised,
bro.
Eh?
Like it was, and I remember just seeing that and being like, "The fuck, this dude's like actually what he presents himself."
That's perfect. I love that. I'm glad it's not some like facade. That
nah.
Dude, like cameras on, then he acts that way. That's actually who he is,
bro.
That's brilliant.
100%. He's definitely way buzzy, like even buzzier, but. No, yeah, bro. That thing got me so good.
That'll be tough.
But he's the man, bro.
Hey, bro. We'll wrap up just with some quick fire questions.
Yo.
But before we do, where can people stay in touch with you and your mahi?
I'm probably most active on Instagram, so just at joe.daymond, Joe spelled the normal way, Daymond, Daymond. Just check that out. Everything else will follow.
Man.
Nice.
And highly recommend for everyone watching, check out some of Joe's work. The boys are decorating. I was watching some of that, the one of Kalen Ponga today. It's fucking
He's
on.
the man, eh?
He is the man. Bloody good looking dude as well. And also Bouncers as well on Comedy Central. So we'll chuck some links in the description below. Joe, what brings you true happiness?
Good question, bro. My favorite, this is going to sound so buzzy. My favorite pastime has always been walking around like real flash areas. And the residents hate it. But I've always, ever since I was a little kid, bro, I'd walk around real flash areas, imagine myself in like the mean ass houses. And it's less of like a material thing and more just like, I love the like daydreaming of it.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah, bro, I love doing that shit.
Like that. Advice you wish you knew about when you were younger.
Shit. Advice I wish I knew about when I was younger. How young?
Just
What
younger.
age are we thinking?
Just let's say under 10.
Okay. Learn how to fight.
Nice. What does legacy mean to you?
I think legacy means to me, that's a good question. I reckon what those that knew you best, how they talk about you after you're gone.
If you could change one thing in New Zealand, what would this be?
I would. Damn, bro, these are quick fire, but fuck, these are like ones that I have to like think about.
Yeah.
If I could change one thing in New Zealand, I'd make parking free.
Fuck yeah, bro. Run for parliament. I'll vote for you.
Thank you.
What do you believe is the main thing that's holding back young people in New Zealand?
I think the main thing, honestly, I would say young people in New Zealand, the biggest thing holding them back is focusing on 1 month of the year. Like, I think, and I was very much like a proponent of this. I think a lot of young people really only get excited for their life in December. Come summertime and like, festivals and shit, and that's when you see, you'll have your mate who's like the biggest like fucking useless dickhead, and rhythm starts to come around and he's got spreadsheets out like planning the boys' activities, like
so true, bro.
He's planning the budget for like, okay, this is how much we're going to spend on piss, okay, this is what time we're going to be at pre's this time, and then we're going to shoot to rhythm this time, we're going to catch this set. Like there's a whole like like chart with like the set times, and the bro has organized exactly what time we need to leave here for here, and it's like, bro, if you just applied that to the other 11 months in the year, fuck, rhythm would be the least exciting thing in your life.
So true. Fuck, I love that. It's so good. See, bro. And we'll finish off with a quote. This is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'll be lying if I said I knew who that was. But the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Joe, cheers, brother.
You're the man, brother.
My guy.
Appreciate having me, bro.